Hello and welcome to Scott Rock, our brand new podcast by Climb Scotland, bringing you climbing stories and mountain tales from Scottish underdogs and local heroes.
Your hosts are the legendary, me, Callum McBain, and...
me, Robert Mackenzie. Callum, what is the plan, bud?
Well, we both love interview podcasts, and for our jobs we get to travel around and speak to loads of different climbers. So we thought we would combine both of these things and share the stories we hear through this podcast.
That's right, we're not just interviewing the hardcore among you, but literally anyone that we think has a cool story to tell. And we know that there's a lot of you out there.
So keep an eye out every fortnight for the latest climber chat. And if you have anyone you'd like to hear from, or if you want to be in the show yourself, let us know and spread the Scott Rock word.
And remember guys, when you get back out there climbing, back to the crags, back to the walls, be safe and do your buddy checks. Enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome back to Scott Rock. You are back with Robert and I hope you have been enjoying the show so far. We kicked this thing off with two of the coolest climbers that I know, and well, we ain't about to stop there. In this episode, I sat down with the one and only Mr. Mike Pescod. For those who know who Mike is, you know how cool this guy is and how much of a legend he is. So you, I know, will be excited for this one. But for those of you who don't know Mike, he is an international mountain guide, founder of a guiding business here based in Fort William. His journey through life to get him here has been full of adventures and learning curves, some good, some bad, but all epic stories. And he sat down with me a couple of months ago to give me the rundown. Now, before we kick off, I need to make an apology to you and to Mike. I am sorry. When we did this interview, I was still very new to recording interviews. My microphone didn't work and I had to record this on my phone. So the sound quality is not great. So please bear with me with the audio. I'd recommend headphones for this one, and I promise that my interview skills and my recording skills have improved since then. But please stick it out, enjoy the chat with Mike, and yeah, enjoy.
I was interviewing McTighe the other day, and that one was actually hilarious.
Oh man, yes.
Like, actually hilarious.
Oh, he's great. He's a superstar. I mean, he is a legend.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. The stuff he's done and the stories that he tells. It's brilliant. His knowledge of history and all the...
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Everything. It's just, yeah.
There was a load of things I didn't know about him either. I didn't know he was a mercenary.
Right, okay.
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
After he left the Marines, he was a mercenary for a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good story actually.
Yeah.
Cool, right, let's kick off. Cool, we are sitting here at Three Wise Monkeys in their little white room again with Mr. Mike Pescod.
Hello.
The local legend. I'm all just local legend, but British and international mountain guide?
Well, both. It's British mountain guides.
Yeah.
It's the British
Mountain
Association. But international mountain guides is good as well because it's linked with the International Federation of Mountain Guides Associations.
Yes, yeah.
Try saying that with a cold cheek. It's quite tricky to get out. So it's the worldwide body of guides associations.
Yeah, because that's the title that kept coming up, and I was sort of doing a bit of research on your name anyway. Yeah. But I had always known you as a British mountain guide. So.
Yeah.
Yachtner pro athlete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's sitting there in the Yachtner jacket.
Yeah, I do wear it. I mean, they send me so much stuff, but I don't mind wearing it because it's good stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would if I was sponsored by them. Hint, Yachtner. And one of the founders of Abacus Mountain Guides as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all-round legend. Yeah. Every time anybody mentions your name, they're like, the big man.
Right.
Yeah. And you're blushing.
I am.
You're blushing already.
Well, I just want to take people climbing. That's all I want to do. I go climbing and just that's it.
Yeah. So you're a climber. You're a mountaineer. You're a nice climber. You've also done your fair share of kayaking and.
Well, I dabbled with kayaking and decided it wasn't for me. It's not good. No. It's wrong, actually.
It's wrong.
I would go as far as say morally wrong, but I get laughed at. So it's just it's scary. I can't. I think it's my brain. My brain can't cope with kayaking because climbing you're on something static and you're actually fairly static. so I can kind of do that. Skiing and biking, you're dynamic on something that's fairly stationary. I can do that.
Yeah.
But kayaking, it's the water's moving. You're moving.
You can't stop
Everything's
it.
moving. You can't stop it. You
You're
can't just say,
going
no,
with it.
can I just pause there and have a look and then, right, I'm good to go now.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen as far as I know.
So any paddlers that are listening to this, we've just lost them.
Yeah.
They've switched off. So we can say what we like about kayaking now. Are you doing a bit of paragliding as well?
I've tried paragliding, yes, and
again,
very
not
good.
for you?
No. Paragliding is good. I would like to do more paragliding, but it's another expensive way to hurt yourself.
It is, yeah. I mean, hurt is a good word for it. I don't think there's much hurting involved if you crash a paraglider. It might be a short hurt.
Yes, might not last long. But there's just a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So and yes, I do lead quite a busy life. Three children, beautiful wife, fantastic kids, all very dynamic, energetic, doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to do stuff with them. And if I go off paragliding, that's another draw my time.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
It's not going to happen.
Of course. Yeah. So I was going to ask about how long you've been climbing for, but you're pretty well-rounded all-rounder. So I was going to the love that you've got for just being out there. Where did that come from?
So I think my family.
Right.
I was brought up in Somerset.
Okay.
So not the climbing centre of by any means. But no, my dad and my mum took me on walks and walking holidays.
Yeah.
So I think it was through that. I was 4 when I first walked up a hill, which is Penavan in the Brecon Beacons. I can't remember, but they tell me.
You can remember the hill?
They tell me it was Penavan. They tell me I walked all the way up and all the way down again, and I would not be carried. And
wow.
the next one was Pembrokeshire Coastal Path.
All right,
it's like 2 weeks walking all the way along the coastal path. And I think that was a bit of a turning point. My memory of it is that at the start of it, it was sore, the rucksack was uncomfortable, and I was lagging behind, and I think it was probably a bit...
How old were you at this point?
I think 9.
9.
I think 9. But by the end of this trip, I remember being just into it. I was running ahead of the group of my family, and I was going around the next headland to look at the next bay, and something seemed to click, and that's my memory of it. I don't know if that's my mum and dad's memory of it, but that certainly seemed to be a bit of a moment where I kind of looked up and looked around about me and went, actually that's quite cool.
Yeah.
And then all the way through my teenage years, I was into walking and 10 tours events on Dartmoor. Not much climbing until I was about 17 or 18, so when I went to university.
Right.
But I'd already decided before that, when I was 17, I definitely had a moment when I changed direction massively. Now, I remember a video of you talking about, I think it was the Mountain Festival film of you, you're receiving obviously this youth award in mountain culture, when you said you had a bit of an epiphany.
Yeah.
So I had one as well. When I was 17, I was all set to do engineering. Because, again, my dad always said I made these paper aeroplanes that flew. And I was good at physics and maths and design and all that kind of stuff. So it just seemed like my whole life's trajectory was going towards aeronautical engineering. And I'd filled in all the forms for the university courses, and it was in the envelope. And I was literally, about to drop it into the letterbox, and I pulled it out again. I went, no. Because, designing aeroplanes is cool. Yeah. It sounds very cool, but...
Well paid.
I still had this... I kind of thought, well, actually, I'm just going to be a small cog in a very big wheel. And in a very big machine, and most of the time I'll be sat there in front of a desk looking at a screen designing little bits of aeroplanes.
And
I thought about that, and I just thought, I can't do that. I want to be outside. So I just changed direction completely, without knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I think it was something like, I thought it was something like, leading expeditions through the Borneo jungle or down the river somewhere. I still thought kayaking was alright back then, but it was something quite vague, something outdoor, expedition leader, something like that. Just
something out there.
Something outside, other countries, that kind of stuff. It was quite vague. And I found this sports science course at Birmingham University. Birmingham's not known for its climbing either, but it does have an outdoor centre in the Lake District. So instead of doing choices of like athletics and football and whatever on my sports science course, I went off and did mountaineering and sailing and kayaking and windsurfing and all this stuff. And it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I spent half my degree course up there. So I got a good degree, and I also got to work with Livy Peters.
Ooh, wow.
Mountain guide. And I just thought, right, that's it. That is what I want to do. When I worked with Livy, I just thought, right, it all crystallised. mountain guide. That's it. I'm going to do.
So you did sports science?
I studied sports science. Yeah.
Nice. Ah, so did I.
Yeah. Good. I did maths as well. It was a joint honours because I hadn't studied biology at all. So
right.
I thought, let's just dial it down a little bit and do some maths that I could do. So that was it.
Nice. Cool. And is that so? You worked with Libby. Is that where you started working in the outdoors? Because I know you started working for a trekking company.
So just before that, actually, for the university at that outdoor centre, they hired some of the students to deliver some of their summer programme activities.
Okay.
So I was delivering rock climbing sessions and walking and mountain biking and stuff.
Cool.
And little bits of sailing, just all multi-activity stuff for the university at that outdoor centre. So I got some paid work there. And then left university and thought, right now what? I don't know. I want to travel. I still had this notion, to a certain extent, of going to foreign countries and climbing now, mountain biking. So I wrote off to like 20 different trekking companies and mountaineering companies like Jacket Globe and Exodus and all these kind of people. And one guy got back, and that was Andrew Wielakowski, who's a teacher down in a school in Sussex. Yeah. But he also runs this very good small trekking company. And he wrote back saying, let's check you out. Come climbing with me to Lundy, the Isle of Lundy in the Severn Estuary. He's got a school trip going. Let's just come with us on that. And we'll meet and basically was checking me out and see what it was like, and that went all right.
Yeah. Not a total punter.
So not a total punter. He basically gave me some pupils to take climbing, and I brought them back in one piece. So
you brought all of them back.
It was,
well, that's the sign of a good instructor. If they all come home,
it works. There you go. So I went down and worked with him for a bit. I was doing a bit of admin and leading a few treks. So I got to go up Mount Kenya, guiding all the way to the top, Batian. Great severe rock climbing at 5,000 metres. Not qualified at all. In Kenya, it's all right. He checked me out. He showed me, gave me all the support that I needed.
Is the thing.
And so Andrew was just amazing and really helped me out in giving me that work and giving me that opportunity to kind of get into that kind of line of work and to check it out. And I loved it.
So it wasn't just trekking you were doing out there?
No, not at all. That was
proper guiding.
That was proper guiding, climbing to the summits. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you go from guiding in Africa to Russia?
Well, so Andrew Wielakowski ran trips to East Africa and Russia. So he's Polish.
Polar opposites.
Oh, great. So can you imagine? No, I spent two months over Christmas and then into... No, it's kind of January, February, that's what it was. January, February, 2 months in Nairobi, going off to Kilimanjaro and then to Uganda and Mount Kenya, so doing all that stuff. And then going back to Russia, to the Caucasus Mountains in late February, where it's minus 20. Yeah. And I learned to ski in the Caucasus Mountains in the Batian Valley. And I pitched up there, and they thought that I could ski already. And I thought I was going to be taught to ski to a certain extent. So I had the woman that owned the hotel, who could speak a little bit of German. She was Russian. She could speak a little bit of German. I understood a little bit of German. Yeah. So she was trying to teach me. She's not a ski instructor. She's a hotelier. She was trying to teach me to ski in this slightly common language, German. And that was my first taste of skiing. So I just kind of went off and taught myself really badly how to ski. And badly? And hooked up with some guys from Minsk, the Minsk University climbing team, staying at the same hotel. So I kind of hooked up with them, I skied with them, and then they went climbing, and I thought, oh, right, can I go climbing with you? I'm bored of skiing now. Can I go climbing? And
I've tried something else, it's boring, climbing's better, let's go back climbing.
Let's go. So we did a peak, and it was really good, and then we did another peak that was quite intense. It was 4 days of climbing, 3 nights out. Yeah. And we didn't have much food, we didn't have much water to drink. The stoves were primer stuff. Their kit was, hopeless, really. Now, I had good kit, but then I didn't look after myself. I ended up getting frostbite in my toes. Yeah. My first reaction was, yes, I'm a proper mountaineer. All the best mountaineers have had frostbite in their toes. Come on, I'm in there. I've done it. I've arrived.
Part of the elite club.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was. And then after 5 weeks, when my feet were still like balloons and turning black, I thought, no, that sucks, actually. That's not good.
That's the first time you ice climbed as well? Is it?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much.
So that's your introduction to ice climbing?
Yes. So in the valley, in the valley, there were all these cascades in the valley, frozen waterfalls, and I had these ice axes and crampons. So I took myself off after a day of skiing. I just thought, I'm going to go and look at that, as you do. So by myself, nobody knew where I was. So I just wandered up this, and it's brilliant. It's all little falls with what would be a plunge pool underneath, but it's covered in snow, deep, soft snow. So I thought, well, I'm just going to climb up that, and if I fall off, I'll just land in the deep, soft snow. And it's cool, And it was going really well.
Yeah,
it was.
Quite a lot of people wouldn't consider that, totally fine, but sure.
When you're young and bold,
it's fine. You're not going to fall off.
Well, yeah, you say that. So, of course, the biggest one of these little cascades was at the top of this thing. It was a bit bigger, and I thought, no, I'm not going to climb that, it's too big. But I'll just go and have a look. And I got up and I thought, all right, there's these big kind of features in the ice that you can hook with your tools. And thought, right, so it would work like that. And before 30 seconds later, I'm a little bit too high to climb down. And I then realised that climbing down on ice axes is really hard. Because you can't place them down. You can't place them down here, can you? So I took a moment and thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to go up, aren't I? And both feet popped out only once. I was there dangling by my axes at the top of this.
Oh my god!
So you do these things and you survive and you learn from them. And my footwork's a lot better now than it was.
I bet it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, necessity is the mother of progression, isn't it?
So that was my second ever kind of proper ice climb.
Yeah,
that's right. The first one was when I was walking in the Cairngorms as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old maybe, with my pal and. With walking axes, I said, can I borrow your axe? I want to go look at that axe. It was the same thing. I just look at it. And of course I went, dish, dish. Oh yes, that feels good.
Discovering a theme here.
Yeah, there's a bit of a theme. Yeah.
What did your parents say when you came back from a trekking trip from Russia with Frostbite?
It was hilarious because, I came back a bit early. It was early March. It was kind of springtime. We lived in Somerset. So, they picked me up and took me to Bath Royal United Infirmary, I think it's called. The hospital in Bath. Flowers outside, warm sunshine, Bath in the spring, Somerset, And I turned up and said, I've got frostbite. Can you? And they looked at me. They looked at my mum and dad, and my dad said, "Yeah, he's got frostbite." Yeah. And they went, "Well, okay." Because it was late on a Friday night thing, and I wasn't one of the drunks that had come in. I was clearly not that kind of customer for them. I was serious. Yeah. And then I was a little bit of a celebrity in the hospital because they don't often see.
Yeah, I bet you were. Did they believe your story, or did you think you were just an idiot sat at their feet in the freezer?
They took one look and went, yeah, that's proper. That's quite serious. Let's get that sorted out.
Nice.
But yeah, loads of people came in to just have a look.
I bet you.
Can I just have a look at your toes? I've heard you've got...
All recovered?
Still fine. I lost the end of my second toe, which I've still got in the pot at home.
Nice.
I should have brought that to show you,
Send me a photo of it, I'll put it as the tag photo for this podcast.
I'll do that.
Yeah, do that.
My wife Louise loves the fact that I've got various body parts in the little jar.
What do you mean various body? What else have you got lying around?
So when I was a kid, it's not a body part actually. I fell off my bike as about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, something like that, and I had a bit of glass in my arm. Just like a centimetre long, a little bit of glass. It went into my arm, and I didn't really realise it healed over. And it was in there for about a year and a half. And after a year and a half, it started trying to come out. My body went, that's a foreign object, and it started coming out. So it's a tiny, minor procedure just to get it taken out. And I thought, I'm going to keep that. I kept it for a year and a half. Going to keep that. But so I think that's fine. My wife Louise, who's gorgeous and brilliant, she doesn't really appreciate that. But then, kids' teeth, lots of parents keep their kids' teeth and hair and stuff like that.
I think my mate's still got a lock of my hair. I used to have quite long hair. It's beyond my shoulders. And when I all got it cut off, my mate kept it in a little pouch. I think he's still got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that one out.
There you go.
I just admitted I had long hair.
Yeah.
I'm going to regret that later. Yep. So, right, you came back from all this, but, that didn't discourage you at all?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. No. You kept pushing yourself after that.
I've never had a moment where I've been discouraged.
Yeah.
Or despite all my various...
And is it after that point you moved up here? Or?
Yeah. I worked for this trekking company doing the admin, and it didn't really work out, so I wasn't getting enough climbing.
Yeah.
And I was forced to go and climb the chalk down in the
God.
south coast, which is
Oh my God.
tells you how desperate I was to go and climb something.
Hardship.
And looking ahead to getting onto the mountain guide scheme, all the pre-requirements for that, it's huge pre-requirements, and I just wasn't getting any of it living down there, so I thought, right, I'm just going to have to go to Scotland. So that was it. I borrowed Andrew's car, his little van. I drove up here. I got a place to stay the day after. The day after that, I got a job at Nevis Range.
Yeah. And
then I had about 5 years of seasonal work at Nevis Range. On the campsite in Glen Nevis, cutting the grass, picking up the stones, and in between all that, doing other treks and leading treks and Canyon and
just
stuff.
Getting experience
And just climbing.
Climbing.
Like a 7-week climbing trip to the Alps a couple of times in the winter.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, I did a bit of research for this. And, looking at stuff you've done to build up to getting your guide ticket. You've done quite a lot, but one of them that kept coming up and you kept speaking very highly of was your Les Droites.
Yeah, Les Droites. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was really nice.
Out of everything I read, there was no explanation of why it was so good.
Well, it's just a good climb that went really well.
Cool. Well, there's a short story for you. Excellent.
Well, it is, but so many climbing stories are epics that went wrong. Somebody broke a leg and this and that. And actually, no, that was one time where it was just everything went really well.
So, for those that are listening that don't know where this is, where is Les Droites?
So Les Droites is there is a bit of a backstory. Les Droites is one of the peaks in the Chamonix range, in the Mont Blanc range, just above Chamonix. It's above the Argentière glacier. Now, on my first trip as a student to the Alps, I went to Bivy, just outside the Argentière hut, and I was looking across the glacier, looking at the guidebook at this massive face. It's just immense. It goes
huge, isn't it?
Aigle Vert to the Droite and Courte, all the way around the corner, and there's just ice lines and ridges and spurs. It's just phenomenal. And I was looking at the guidebook and looking at the face, thinking, I don't know that I'll ever get up there. I just can't see how I could do that. I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
So going back a few years later and climbing Les Droites North Face by myself, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
So,
so all went well. I had tried with a pal, Dr. Mike, and we bivvied under the face, and it was bitterly cold. And we just both woke up saying, we're not going climbing, are we? Because we're just far too cold. And he went off, and then I was by myself, and I thought, right, okay, it's just, soloing is just because you can't organise a climbing buddy. It's lack of organisation. It's not planned, really. It's
the loader's activity.
Yeah, it's just, I want to go and do that. Who have I got? Oh, nobody, right, okay, I'll try and do it myself. And it was just meant
the activity for the rejects.
Thank you very much.
I put you in a club with, like, Alex Honnold,
Yeah.
That's alright.
I'm not going to put myself in that club, but there you go. Okay. So I saw it right, and it was just absolutely great.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen loads of photos of it. I haven't actually been up and looked at it myself, and it just looks incredible, doesn't it?
It is, but these big faces, they're not that hard. There's 2.5 pictures of about grade 4 Scottish winter stuff, if you like. There's some big faces. There's lots of grade 3 stuff.
Yeah.
But basically it's all right. The scariest bit, why I stopped doing it in the Alps, was walking over glaciers by yourself. That's not recommended.
No.
Really not good. And I remember I abseiled down the south side. The sun was triggering these kind of wet sloughs, which was getting quite heavy. I was a bit spooked, and I just wanted to get down. So after the bottom, so I carried 2 50-metre ropes all the way up, so I could abseil down.
Yeah.
And snowshoes.
That's a bit of a weight.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But when you're in your early 20s, it's
fine.
Just what you do. It's all right.
Yeah. You haven't learned that mistake yet.
So after the bottom abseil, I just tied myself into the one rope that I was going to pull at the bottom abseil, and then I just walked.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, trailing 100 metres of rope with a knot in the middle, it's going to give me some protection, right? If I was to fall into a crevasse, it's going to do something, isn't it? I thought that.
It's a good theory. It's a good theory.
It's what I thought, and I went with it, and it gave me just what I needed just to get down.
Yeah.
I missed the last train down from Montauban. I wasn't fast enough, so I had to walk all the way down to Chamonix. I was going to the end. It's quite a long day.
Well, it's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage. You've got to do it.
I love it. And thanks for reminding me, because that was a long time ago. I don't often think about that kind of stuff, but that was it. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the one that kept coming up. But was there any other ones was there any big learning curve trips that you had? And while you were doing all this practice up to getting your guiding tickets, is there one trip that kind of stood out as that was a life lesson?
No, they're all pieces in the jigsaw, aren't they? There weren't any that kind of really stood out like that, but every single time you go climbing, you learn something. Even now.
Every day's a school day.
Absolutely, it really is, and it's a cliche, and you say that, but it absolutely is.
No, absolutely,
you're always learning, and everyone is. All of those experiences add up to what you are, the climber that you are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I 100% agree with that. So there was no major epics.
Well, yes, there was some, that you could call as epic, but equally say, stuff happened and we got down and we were okay.
Yeah, still here, still walking.
But in Russia, in the Caucasus, I went back to Russia, to the Caucasus with a guy in the Alpine Club called John Temple, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. He's a lot older than me. When I was there with him in the Alps, I was 23, he was 63.
Yeah.
And we matched really well, actually. We were very well matched. I carried a bit more stuff than him, but then I ate more food than him, so it was kind of alright. And he had all this experience, and he said, right, we're going to go and do that. I thought, okay, let's do that. And we did, and it worked out some of the time. The Caucasus, you get bad weather in the Caucasus.
Yeah.
And we got storms.
It comes in quick when it turns as well.
Yeah, and back then, and the resources back then weren't very great. So weather forecasts, we just didn't really have access to much in the way of weather forecasts.
Yeah.
So we did. It was the trip of the retreat. We retreated off a lot of stuff and got quite good at retreating off stuff.
Yeah.
Down these big faces, like ice faces at like 55 degrees, 60 degrees. And we had this technique where with just 5 ice screws, we would kind of move together downhill, basically. We would climb down, because we didn't know about Abalakos. V-threads. They weren't a thing,
They hadn't been invented.
They hadn't been invented. Mr. Abalakov in Russia or whoever was digging holes and trying to work it out, but we didn't know anything about it. So one of us would go down 25 metres, put in an ice screw, go down the next 25 metres, put in another ice screw, at which point I would take out the ice screws on the belay. And they would move together downhill.
Kind of like simul-climb, but
simul-climbing downhill. Yeah. But just imagine being 25 metres above your next ice screw. Yeah. Detaching yourself after having stood there a few minutes and then starting off down. Oh, that's the scariest thing. It's awful. Once you're moving, you're kind of in the groove and it's kind of not too bad. But, it works.
And that's steep stuff to be climbing down as well.
And it's hard ice. It's that alpine kind of north face ice.
Yeah.
All that
stuff. You have to really put an effort in.
Anyway, it worked, and we had to do that a few times.
Good. Another thing that I came across, and I've already said to you about this, on your Yachtner page is the video where you're describing your incident with a rather large amount of snow that hit you.
I got avalanched. Yes. Yeah. I've been avalanched twice actually.
Oh, have you? All right.
I was buried once in Peru, and Nick Carter and Owen Samuel we were roped together on a glacier, and it was sharp intake of breath, proper series. Nick was thankfully in this relatively small avalanche, but it was just heavy wet snow. Nick was clear. He followed the rope around, found Owen, who was just under the snow, got him out fairly quickly, and then they came around to me and they were digging for 10 minutes before they got to me under the snow. At which point they thought, he's not really breathing very well, but they dug me out, got me out, and I came back to, and it was all right.
Yeah, because that's a long time to be under there.
Yeah. There's a really weird thing like a reset switch being pressed. It's like rebooting your computer. It goes through all the checks, So I stood up and I came to him and went, "Oh right, you're Nick. Oh, you're right. Oh right, okay, yeah. We're in Peru. We're climbing in Peru. Yeah, that's right. We were, and it all just slowly over like a minute or 2 minutes, it all pieced back together again. And then I was all right. And I walked down, shaken up, I must admit. As were Owen and Nick, But we walked down. We didn't carry on. We walked down and reflected on it and thought, well, that was rubbish. Let's learn from that. But no physical, no anything, no problems. Just
it's amazing how your body comes back in that way.
That was weird. Definitely, it's a brain thing. I think that was a brain function after being closed down, shut down. Either through fear or lack of oxygen or whatever. I don't know what it was, but it definitely closed down. And it was starting up again. Wow. So it's odd. It's not recommended, but
no, I wouldn't recommend
kind of
it.
interesting.
As a way of learning how your own brain works, I wouldn't recommend that.
No. Don't do that for the crack. Let's see what happens. No, don't. Alright, just don't. But yeah, the other avalanche was much closer to home. It was on Anachmore here at the back of Nevis Range ski area. And I was at my most dangerous time, I guess. You know, young male drivers, when they pass their driving test, it's that first year is when they're most dangerous. Because I think they're awesome. They're full of testosterone and whatever. So young male mountain guides, you know, once they've got the badge, that's probably about the most dangerous time. Because suddenly you let loose. And you're not the most experienced guide by any means. Of course, by definition, you've only just got your badge, but you let loose and off you go. And you are at this day, but I just fell into all these, what we know now as heuristic traps, these human factors that lead you into doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was climbing up this thing that I didn't really intend to climb up. And I think a wee cornice fell off, triggered a small slab that was big enough.
It wasn't you that caused it?
No, it was a natural release above. Yeah, a natural release above. And I'd made the decision that I knew would be threatened by that, but I thought we'd be quick enough to get out and off to the side. And we weren't. Yeah. And it was a bad decision. So I got knocked back down this first pitch that I climbed back 30 metres. Landed in a broken heap, like broken 3 vertebrae on my pelvis, ankles, wrists, that kind of stuff.
Vertebra?
3 L2 and L3, lumbar vertebrae, L2 and L3, and then T12. So all right down the bottom of the spine. My clients, the couple that I was climbing with, who I'd met that morning, they were brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They kind of stabilised the whole thing, chopped out a wee ledge in the snow, got it sorted, secure, pulled the rope down, phoned the rescue. They knew exactly where we were. They got through. All that kind of stuff. And I was unconscious for about 10 minutes, I think, something like that. And so by the time I came to, I went, "Oh yeah, that's a bit stinging." They'd done everything that needed to be done.
Ideal clients in that situation.
Oh, amazing! Absolutely amazing. They were so good, so good. And they even came to see me in the hospital afterwards.
Yeah. You still keep in touch with them?
No, not anymore. But I did hear back a couple of times after, from them, because I was so worried that this is clearly a very negative experience for them, and I just I felt bad that maybe they'd been put off climbing by this experience. But and I think they were quite keen to reassure me that actually they had carried on and done other climbs, and they were okay, which is a relief to me.
That's really good. Obviously not the incident's really good. It was Mick Tye.
So Mick Tye came
part of my rescue that came to get you.
It was it was epic. The rescue was epic because the weather blew up really bad and all sorts of things. But and I don't know everything that clearly I was. When they came to find me, they gave me some morphine fairly quickly. So it all kind of memory is lost. But what did happen was so Mick was close by, and Tony Cardwell and Willie Anderson worked at the ski area. So those 3 turned up on scene very quickly, And Mick and Tony came down Easy Gully. Willie went back to get some more kit. But in walking back along the top of the cliffs, he got blown off the top of the cliffs.
Oh, jeez.
And fell 100 metres. He fell to height of the cliff and landed, extremely luckily, at the feet of Mick and Tony that had just gone down Easy Gully. Just they were walking down looking for me, and then there's Willie just falling all the way down the cliff.
Jeez.
And that was so lucky because if they hadn't seen him, I just wonder if he wouldn't have been missed.
Because he was on his own.
He was on his own. Yeah. So people at the top would have thought, well, he must be at the bottom.
Yeah.
And people at the bottom would have thought, well, why is
he's gone on like back for kit? Did anybody at the base know that he was going back for kit, or?
So I don't know, but so lucky that his fans went away. No, he'd broken a neck vertebra.
Jeez.
And bleeding wounds. He'd been knocked around quite a lot. So quite rightly, the team got him out first. So and that was hard enough. So it was kind of 5 or 6 hours before they got to me. Wow. And by then the weather was just horrible. It was a really tough rescue for the team. I just lay there going, come on, hurry up.
To be fair, there's not much you could have done at that point.
No, exactly. And there's a thing about back injuries that you get very defensive in pelvises, big wounds like that. You just, somebody comes to move you, you say, get off me. Don't touch me.
Don't even.
You're kind of right. You just know something's wrong and you shouldn't be manhandled. But they did a brilliant job. And as far as I know, they did fantastic. Loch Harbour rescue team just were amazing. Got me out of there. And Mick in particular. Mick was on the stretcher So I was put on a stretcher and dragged up the cliff.
Yeah.
It was the easiest way to get me out. So then I could get onto a groom and driven down that side, the ski side, the ski area side. So I had to be dragged up the cliff, and Mick was the barrow boy. So he strapped himself to the stretcher to guide it up through all the rocks and stuff like that. And he was having to aid up. He got hooked up at one point, so he had to aid up the side of the stretcher to get to one point. And
Jeez,
it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. And, I owe my career, my life to him.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Wow. Any lasting injuries?
So from that, I was in hospital for 5 or 6 weeks, and that was awful.
What was the recovery like?
Long-term recovery, fine. Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Now they fused my lumbar spine.
Oh, really?
Like they put rods in to secure it.
Yeah.
And that when you're walking, there's a lot of kind of rotational movement.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? You can't see it in the recording.
He's doing a little dance in his chair, ladies and gentlemen. It's like goodness, that thing to see.
Pulling some moves while I'm talking about this. There's a lot of rotation in your spine, your lumbar spine, when you walk, but that couldn't happen with these pins in place. So that was being transferred through to my knees.
Okay.
I was getting really sore knees. They're wearing out super quick. So I went back to the surgeon and said, "Look, can you take these things out?" He said, "Well, yes, but it's not going to make any difference. You've fused now the bones and did it."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, but can you please?" So he did. He took them out. And I have regained. It did improve. It got much better. I think I did regain some range of movement. I wish I'd done yoga. I've just started doing yoga, and it's brilliant. And I wish I'd done that back then.
And like everybody that I've heard of getting into yoga now has said the same thing.
Yeah.
It
wish I'd
does
done
help.
it 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Has it, whether positively or negatively, has it affected how you go out at all?
Oh yes. Oh yeah, completely, absolutely. Because you're lying there in hospital thinking, well, my initial reaction was that was just me being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
If I did that another 10 times, another 100 times, that wouldn't have happened. You would have been fine. But that just means if you go out and you leave it to chance whether you come back or not, that's just not good enough.
Because at some point you're going to find the edge.
At some point it's going to work in the wrong direction for you. So that's not good enough. So initially my reaction wasn't very good. I sat there and analysed it. I was lying in hospital, so I had a lot of time to think about it, and analysed it and worked it out. And eventually, I thought, no, there's got to be a better way to do things. And it was at the time when things like these human factors, heuristic traps, were starting to be talked about. And I thought, that was it.
Yeah.
So no, I now use it as a learning example. I'm very happy to talk about it, and I think it's.
No, I think it's a good thing to talk about for sure,
because it's a good learning opportunity for other people.
Yeah,
if they can learn from me breaking myself so that they don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very good thing. Yeah.
No, I've always been the same because very luckily, not anything serious, but I've always had little cock ups and hurt myself or whatever, and it's I learn from my mistakes because I make enough of them.
Yeah.
So talking about these things is great. The lessons that you've learned from that have helped you in the future, but it can help everybody else.
Absolutely, yes.
So no, it's a really good thing to talk about.
One of the biggest things that I learned actually was that as a guide, it's not my job to deliver exactly what my clients want. It's my job to make good decisions on their behalf, because they're not equipped with experience to make those decisions. That's why they've hired me. And if that decision is no, we're not going to do that today, that's me doing my job.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. And back then, that wasn't at the forefront of my mind. Back then I was looking at the glee, this guy's look on his face, just he was looking at the ice going, he had, I want to climb that face on, and I reacted to that. That was one of the human factors that I went, right, okay, let's do that. That was the last one in the whole series, though. I've learned from
I think a lot of instructors have fallen down that same thing. Client says, I want this, you go, cool, I am qualified, I'm going to make that happen. But it's when to say, that's not the right thing to do. When to stop. Never be too proud to say no.
Completely.
Yeah. No, good. Right, let's move on to something slightly more light-hearted.
Okay.
Abacus.
Yes.
You're one of the co-founders?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Donald King and I were working at Outward Bound.
Right.
And we were looking at leaving. They gave out 2-year contracts, so I worked out my contract.
Yeah.
And thought, well, what next? I'd just got my MIA, I think, as I left Outward Bound, Winter ML, so I had enough tickets to set things up.
Yeah.
and Donald was leaving Outbound about the same time. So I was thinking about. It wasn't any kind of big idea to set up a business, really, to be honest. It was just wanting to work as an outdoor instructor.
Yeah, just sort of be freelancers.
Freelance,
do your own thing.
But with the understanding that once you do that for a few years, then people start coming back to you. So I thought, well, let's make that a little bit easier. Let's have a business name or something. Let's just have something like that, and I'll do lots of freelancing, and slowly I'll kind of maybe get my own customers. So that's what it was, and that's what it still is. It's not a big business. It's not floated on the stock market yet.
Yet. But you guys have got big enough now that you're not just the ones that are being employed by other people. You're employing others now.
Absolutely. Donald is in demand massively, and he gets booked up, well in advance. He goes off to Norway and does lots of other stuff. Yeah. And I wish I could work with him more. So much fun working with Donald. It's just great. But yeah, for me here, I'm busy all the time. I don't work for other people. Just we're crazy busy. Apart from in the autumn, the autumn is always quite quiet for climbing. Yeah. It's not winter. It's not summer. It's just a bit in between. It's a bit. So I do some work for the college here. Okay. Westheimer College.
Of the UHI.
Part of UHI. That's right. Working with students on their adventure tourism or adventure degree courses. Which are brilliant.
They're brilliant courses.
Oh, so good.
I know a lot of people have gone through that.
Adventure performance and coaching is the course that I was looking for.
Right.
When I found that sports science course, that is the one that I wanted to do in the location that I wanted to be in. It just didn't exist.
And here it is.
Whenever it was, and now it's there. And there's people doing it, and I'm quite jealous. Yeah. But it's brilliant.
That's never too bad. Too late. You can go back as a senior student.
I've thought of doing an MSc or something like that, I might well do. I like studying. I'm a bit of an academic. I do like studying, learning new stuff. It's good.
Good. So what does Abacus do? What's the main sort of mission?
So to take people climbing. World class mountain adventures. Yeah. So
because it's not just in Scotland you do it. Like you said, Donald gets booked to go away. Yeah, internationally.
It's predominantly west coast of Scotland, but I go off to the Alps a little bit. Yeah. With 3 young kids, I've not done as much of that over the last decade really. Yeah. They're all now getting a bit older, a bit more independent, and easier to look after. So I'm maybe now going to do a little bit more on the Alps. We're looking at that as an option. But basically here, doing lots of wintry stuff because I love winter, and then stuff in Skye and rock climbing and all the scrambles and some qualification courses and rare trips to England and Wales and a few trips to the Alps in the summer. And Donald's been going off to Norway for quite a few years now, and I'm looking at joining him, tapping into his knowledge basically, and doing some trips to that kind of place.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Stretch your legs a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
It's important actually. I think it's important to go to places that are new to you, and not just do the same routes again and again and again and again. Which I do a lot. Don't get me wrong. I went up Tower Ridge again today, and it was brilliant, and it was so different actually to how it's been. I've never had it like it was today, but I try and find a few routes that I've not done before each winter. Just a small thing, just on-site guiding. It's really good. It keeps you sharp, makes you keeps you thinking about stuff. And certainly in the Alps, I've been exploring loads of different places. So it's good to do that.
I think that's it's a trap that a lot of instructors end up going down and end up doing the same stuff again and again, and it gets a bit boring. I know literally every climbing instructor that's ever worked on a climbing wall after 2 years go, I hate birthday parties. I can't deal with birthday parties anymore. Just because it's the same stuff. So it's the same if you're an outdoor instructor. If you're an MCI doing the same routes over and over and over again, you're eventually going to get bored of it.
So the way to make it interesting is to learn more stuff about where you are and history and tradition and all that kind of stuff, and build that into your day. So I still walk up and down the mountain track on Ben Nevis with one-time walkers, and I love it. Because I'm an international mountain guide, and I walk up Ben Nevis, like a summer mountain leader. Because I am a summer mountain leader, and actually I love the job because it's really good. So I get to witter on about Ben Nevis and the plants and the rocks and the history and all that kind of stuff, and just tell people about it. Because because I am passionate about this. I think this is good, and at any level, walking up a mountain is good. It's fundamentally good, and if I can be enthusiastic and enthuse other people to do more of that stuff, job done. Brilliant.
Perfect. So now that's like, if you were going to make the perfect instructor, that's one you'd want, is just one that adds so much more to the day for what you've asked. You've asked, a client's asked, can I go to the top of Ben Nevis? Yeah. But you've added all this other stuff into the day. Yeah. Now that's the job, isn't it? It
is the job, but not everyone does that, but it's what helps me as well. That was the point, wasn't it? Yeah. You can make it interesting for the leader, for the coach, the instructor, whatever, by doing this extra stuff. And each time it's different stuff that I talk about. So.
And like, if you do stuff like that with clients, you get more out of them as well, and you enjoy the day. Absolutely. So working with running Abacus, is there any like absolute highlight days? Is there something that stood out?
Always.
Every one of them.
We took a guy on his 50th birthday up a Rhine Direct on the most amazing day, and I remember just being sat at the top going, that's it.
Nice.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
We took a guy along the Cooling Ridge 50 years after he first did it.
Wow.
And it wasn't perfect weather. There was a bit of a question mark, but we did it, and we did it in good style, and it was, but there's just countless numbers of these days. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. And this is why people like you get into this kind of work. It's for moments like that.
Completely. Yeah. Yes, it is now. Initially, I must admit, in my 20s, it was more about me. And me going to do these routes and go to new places, I must admit. But much more now, it's about the experience of my clients, my customers, the people I'm climbing with. I get much more satisfaction knowing that they've had a good day.
Yeah.
Rather than me, what I get directly from people.
When you're young, like if you become a guide or whatever, it's your ticket to go and experience all this stuff. Yeah. And once you've experienced all this, all you want to do is share that experience with someone else. It's the progression, isn't it?
It is, and it's a natural thing, and I reflect that very much. Yeah.
Excellent. But one of your big passions now is deer management.
Well, so this is interesting.
Yeah, because this takes it well away from climbing.
I've spent so much time in the Scottish Highlands, in the mountains of Scotland. Yeah. And I've got to know them quite well, I guess, and what grows there, and so I guess it kind of starts with these hills give me my employment. It's a resource that I utilise. So I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to put something back into them. So I kind of tried to do some work with Nevis Landscape Partnership, Nevis Partnership as it was back then. Yeah. And I thought, this would be a good body for me to put some of my time into, So I became a director of Nevis Partnership. Just the voluntary directors thought, this is the way that I can put something back into the system. And it's kind of grown a little bit from there because I'm now the chair of Nevis Landscape Partnership. Yeah. And we're looking at, what to do.
Are you? I didn't know that.
I'm the chair, so I'm the boss,
You're the boss.
I'm not the boss.
Right, so it's you to blame. There you go.
I'm chairing...
Direct all complaints.
I'm chairing this board of phenomenal people and a very broad range of people representing all sorts of different backgrounds and bodies of user groups and landowners and all sorts of people, including Mountaineering Scotland. Yeah. And it's just such a strong board because of its diversity. So we're looking ahead about what to do next. We've had... You might please cut this out. Sorry, excuse me.
Sorry, Mike's just dying here.
I've got leprosy or something. It's all right. It's not
coronavirus. Just saying.
So we had this 5-year project or set of 19 projects. Yeah. Through the Nevis Landscape Partnership, Heritage Lottery funded landscape partnership thing. It's like £4 million that we spent on Ben Nevis and Glen Nevis, and it's brilliant, and it's revolutionised the experience of Ben Nevis and Glen Nevis, all the way from our understanding of the archaeology to the path work and the number of butterflies we've got, just very broad.
It's amazing work that you guys
stunning, absolutely stunning. And we came to the end of that and the funding that went with that, and we've now not got any money, or we didn't have a strategy. At the end of that, that landscape partnership work was the strategy for those 5 years. And towards the end of that, we went, all right, okay, what next?
What next? Yeah, what are you going to do?
So, inspired by some other landowners, I thought, right, we need a really long-term strategy. Land management is long-term, long time scales we're talking about. So I thought, right, we need a 100-year vision. So I got the board to think about this 100-year vision. We've got that, and it's all about connecting people with nature and people being involved in the looking after of this resource, this natural landscape, and making it a bit more natural, if you like, or wilder than it is just now, maybe. But still keeping hold of the heritage of farming in the Glenlands and what's done just now. So we've got that in place. But then once you start immersing yourself in these ideas and these worlds, and you work with John Muir Trust and all sorts of different bodies, you kind of start thinking, well, is it as good as it might be?
Yeah.
Is this how it should be? Could it be better? And we've now got big problems with global climate change. The climate is changing. We need to suck up as much carbon dioxide as we can. And the landscape, the Highlands of Scotland, are not doing that as well as they could do.
Yeah.
So just for that reason, if we reduce the number of deer, we'll get more tree cover, more vegetation. We'll get better biodiversity, not just vegetation, but biodiversity right across the board. So we'll get more bees and butterflies and little crawly things, invertebrates, as well as small mammals and slightly bigger mammals and all sorts of things. And everything does so much better if we can just keep the number of deer down. So I'm quite keen on doing that. Yeah. And actually, as it happens, there's been a couple of government report studies on this, and John Muir Trust has done their own, and they're all kind of in alignment, saying there's big advantages in terms of global climate change, let alone anything else. To do with reducing the density of deer on the land. Yeah. So what got me interested in all this mostly was doing some summer mountain leader courses with people that know all this kind of stuff. And then I learned so much when I'm delivering training courses. I learn back the way so much, and that just got me interested in. And I think there's some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not easy. The stalking culture, the way the lands, these mostly private estates, deer stalking estates have been managed, it's been done for a long time. Yeah. There are generations of stalkers that have been doing things as they've been done for a long time. So for a similar kind of period as we've been climbing. So if you came to me and said, Mike, you're going to have to change the way that you go climbing, I'm not going to take that very well.
You are now going to have to become a free soloist.
A free soloist.
Every trip you do.
Or bolt everything.
Naked.
Or bolt everything. There you go. It's just something like that is, if you're asking people to change culture, that's a big deal. And I know that, and I fully understand that. But I think there's something to be learned from some Scandinavian countries, where, this is weird for me to say, but I think there's a future in hunting. It's weird for me to say that. I'm not into shooting stuff, animals. I've always been really kind of upset about that, and not into that at all. But in places like Sweden and Norway, there are hunting clubs, and there are groups of people that buy the shooting rights for certain areas, and the government regulates it very well. Clearly, we're not talking about arming people in the town here, right? There's gun laws, and there are certificates that you need in deer management as well as holding firearms and all that kind of stuff. So it's all very well managed and very carefully done. But I think there's maybe an advantage that we see in these countries of people in the community having something directly to do with managing the land. Yeah. That connection, once that connection is made between nature and the people living here, suddenly things seem to work a little bit better. Yeah. People feel connected with the landscape and responsible for it and part of it and immersed in it. Yeah. And all of those things are so valuable. And part of the problem, again, with global climate change, if you live in a city not connected to nature at all, it's external, it doesn't affect you, it's different, we can adapt, we can do something else, it doesn't affect you, you can't see it.
That problem is someone else's
problem, so whatever, I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing. Well, if you see the difference and you're completely connected with nature, and this is one way just to connect with nature, then I think there's real advantages to doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that's my fairly random thoughts at the moment. Nothing's going to come down on, right, this is what we need to do. And I'm not on a campaign, I'm just thinking there's a direction of travel here that I think we should move in.
So the 100-year plan that you guys have got, is it finalised? Is it out there?
So the 100-year vision is there, yes.
It is out there.
Nevis Landscape Partnership has a strategy that covers the next 20 years. Now that's much more, right, we need to do a bit more of this, we need less of that, we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
And then, but headlining that is our 100-year vision. Yeah. Because soon enough, that 20 years will go.
Yeah, real quick.
And then we're going to be like, right, okay, are we still going in this direction? But we're going to have that vision of 100 years' time. So the strategy after this one will be like still in the same trajectory.
So is that available to the public to have a look
at? Yes, it's on the Nevis Partnership website. Or you can contact the office, just go and have a look online. It's all there. And we would like feedback. Please give us feedback. Yeah. Soon. Because we want
if there's anyone out there that one wants to know what's going on to manage the land and make it more accessible and more wild and more authentic for you guys going out there. But if there's anyone who wants to help out in any way, give feedback, then check it out.
It's crucial. That's exactly what we want. We want people to engage.
No, that's good.
We want to move away from the kind of Instagram feel of tourism. You know, go up at Glen Nevis, take an Instagram, and off you go. Yeah. We want to reverse that and provide real in-depth, immersion in nature kind of experiences, much longer term experiences. Through volunteering, fixing paths, maintaining fences, and planting trees and bracken bashing and all that kind of stuff. Get stuck in, get immersed in it. Come on, absolutely, much more valuable.
No, that sounds really good. I'm going to check that out. Actually,
that's good.
Yeah, I've not had a look at that.
Yeah. Oh, go and have a look. It's brilliant. The stuff we've done and the stuff we're going to do.
I mean, over the last couple of years, because we're up here. Well, I'm up here right now for the Fort William Mountain Festival. So over the last couple of years, I've seen yearly what's gone on, and the amount of work you guys have put in is incredible.
There's a lot of passionate people here.
Loads of passionate people.
There's a lot of passionate locals and a lot of passionate white settlers like me. I'm definitely a white settler. I'm English and I'll always be English, and I'll be reminded that I'm English in a nice way, in a very nice way. But there's a lot of people that move here for a reason, and we're very keen to share that passion of this place.
And there is some incredible people. I remember last year there was a video shown at the festival about one of your volunteers that runs from Kinlochleven. He cycles from Kinlochleven to
cycles there, and then he ran over the West Island Way, and then he did a day of work.
Shifting
enormous rocks and saying, no, it's not that hard, you just got to be clever, use gravity.
And then runs home and cycles back to his house.
He's a phenomenal character, lovely guy, brilliant, amazing at his job, and just as enthusiastic and passionate about everybody else, as everybody else about being out there and doing stuff out there, It's brilliant.
It's amazing that you guys have got that kind of people to work with. That's why having this in Fort William and the community you got here, it must help massively, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just great. So Doug's quote on that film. He was a physiotherapist.
Okay.
And his quote is, "There's people talk about bad posture. Have I got bad posture? Maybe I need to." His thought is, if you're thinking about posture, there's no good posture. We should be moving. You shouldn't be static. Posture is static. Yes, that's wrong. Move. Just move more. Do stuff. Move around. Stand up. Move around, and then you'll be right. Yeah. You won't have a bad posture. You won't have a posture.
Well, he definitely moves enough, doesn't he?
He moves. He's living proof that it works.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. So, what's your next work trip or big adventure?
So I'm right into Scottish winter right now. I'm like fully immersed in Scottish winter. Oh man, it was blasting in my face today like anything. It was, and enjoying that all the way through till to the end of the winter. It's just what I like most.
Are you helping out with the international meet?
I'm not. No, I'm aware that that's going on. Yeah. And it's just great to see all those climbing wads, very brightly coloured.
It's like I've been looking at photos all morning. It looks amazing. I'm amazed they've got some winter.
Yeah, it's
looks
really
amazing
good conditions. Really good conditions, and that's timed perfect. It's good weather as well. It's just super.
I'm hoping it sticks out for the week because I'm working all week, but I'm off the weekend.
It is.
I'm hoping to get out next weekend.
It's going to be good. Amazing. Plan on it. It's going to be good.
Excellent. I'm psyched out of my mind for that.
Good.
Brilliant. That is that.
Yay.
We will wrap it up there. Thank you very much for sitting down with me. That was excellent. That was really entertaining.
It's great fun thinking back on some of this stuff.
Yeah,
so thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm up here again in 6 months and nobody wants to talk to me anymore, then I'll give you a shout. We can do a part 2.
Part 2. Good stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, a big thank you to Mike there for sitting down for that epic chat, and a huge thank you to all of you who stuck it out through the poor audio. I promise it does get better. I hope you really enjoyed that chat, because I definitely did. And just a reminder, when we do get back out climbing, be safe, do your buddy checks. I'll see you next time on Scott Rock.